Go ahead. What's up?
Oh, when when I was talking about that asking people thing, was bringing in that hiring part of it, was that helpful or not so much?
I would say it was a little distracting.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll skip that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Mhm.
All right. In five, four, three, two. Hey, good morning. You're listening to Olark Radio. Why not? Let's just call it Olark Radio. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, we're talking to Nick O this morning. Hey, Nick O, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Carl? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks. Hey, listen, for anybody that's tuning in, can you tell the people who you are and what you do here at Olark?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Nick Oliverio. I'm part of the support team here. I've been working on the team for about 2.5 years, and over the last year and a half or so, I've also transitioned to sort of informally being part of our sales team.
Very cool. And that makes it relevant for this time of year because as New Year's resolutions kick in and people start to look at ways of generating new business in the new year, we're talking about sales this month, and we're trying to share some tips and tricks for people that are using live chat to increase the number of leads they have coming in their sales. And you have a unique position here at Olark in that you sort of straddle the support world and the sales world, doing double duty here for Olark. And so thought we might pick your brain this morning just to get some best practices from you and some thoughts for people who might be curious about how to do better with their sales on live chat. So we were talking here this morning already, and you were saying, first off, a lot of the support work you've done has made you a better salesperson. Can you expand on that thought a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're in support, you see a lot of different questions come in over the course of the day, right? So you see people with technical questions and implementation questions, and so as folks, ask these questions over the course of weeks and then months and then years, you build up a really great library of all the possible situations that somebody could be in that they want to get resolution for. And so when you come into the sales side of it, people are trying to implement chat because they have a specific thing that they're looking for. Maybe they want to support their current customers. Maybe they want to increase their sales and get more customers for themselves. So as people tell you what it is that they want to do, you've seen it happen in the past. You've seen it be successful, and you've seen folks really drop the ball with it. So that puts you in a great position to really tell folks, here are some best practices. This is, if I were in your shoes, this is what I would do with my years of experience to implement this for you.
Do you feel like there's been a sales conversation that you've had that's caught you off guard? I mean, it sounds like you've come across pretty much every sort of like concern or question in your support career. It just sounds like when you get into a sales conversation, then your mind's already anticipating what they're gonna ask.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think something that's interesting is who companies decide should be in charge of this process. So sometimes you'll have somebody that's, a manager that, their job is just to like figure this out and then hand it off to somebody else, and they don't really care about the details. Sometimes somebody's got a developer who's in charge, and so they just want to know about implementing the code, and then, how can we modify this? How can we use your API to really get a lot of value out of this? And so those conversations, it's easy to kind of get into the weeds with stuff. But I think for the most part, as long as you help folks, that's really what it's all about.
Sure. Well, so what about the times when you're on live chat and you're helping somebody who's come to our site and they've got some questions and they're not a customer yet. They seem to be kind of feeling everything out. So you go through that whole process and you help them, and they decide, okay, I'm not going to make a decision today. I want to keep thinking about it.
Mhm.
What then? So with your experience in sales now, what do you do then to kind of bring a sales mentality to that support, helpful conversation and say, okay, how do I actually keep this customer here and help them make a decision or convince them that we're the right option for what they need?
Right. That's a great question. I mean, it's not, it's not Glengarry Glen Ross. It's not always be closing. But I think that is a part of it, is that you need to get to a place with folks where if they're not, if they aren't ready to make a decision, at least finding out why. So if they say, I'm looking for XYZ features, you can you can steer that conversation back to being successful for you and say, okay, look, so this is, again, if I were in your shoes, if I were trying to do what you're trying to do, this is how I would do it. And, just really helping folks understand what it is that they think they're still looking for, and helping them, figure out how you can do that for them.
Well, I think you brought up an interesting point earlier too, where you said you ask a customer why they're trying to do something. A lot of times that leads you down a path of overcoming an objection they might have, or helping put their doubt to bed. Is that a tactic you use quite often?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, anytime I talk with somebody, I want to start by figuring out what it is that they're trying to do and why they're trying to do that. And I see this actually a lot with folks implementing our API. And we have this great code base that we share with people, and we say, hey, take this, go crazy. And you see not a lot of people, occasionally you'll see folks getting in there and really digging in a way that they're not technically prepared for. And you can either help them, put this code together, or you can figure out what it is that they're trying to do with that code. And they say, okay, you know what? We can actually do this using targeted chat. You can do this with, your basic attention grabber settings. And so you don't need to do all this code that, you're not comfortable with and is taking up a lot of your time. So just really helping folks, get to that why is a really good way of doing things.
Yeah, I would underscore that too. In the times that I've done support, I think when people come on live chat, they very often come in with a problem, and they're flustered, and they're kind of like already a little bit stressed out about trying to solve that problem, and so they fire in with what they think is the right question, or they come in with the question that they've formulated, and you oftentimes have to kind of ask them that why, so that they then back down a little bit from their frustration level, but also start to sound out the problem. And when you sound it out with them, you lead them down the path to where they go. And I think too, from a sales standpoint, at least, someone comes in who hasn't used your product, but has been given a problem by somebody else in their organization that they need to solve. And so they're just coming in asking a question that somebody else asked them, and you then put it back on them and say, like, why do you want to do that? I don't know. Somebody else told me I need to do it. And then you can help them formulate an even better solution that they didn't know was possible, but that they could go back to whoever it was that assigned them that task. And that may also help you close a sale, or at least get them thinking positively about your platform.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point there, that anytime you are in that situation, it's a win-win for everybody, because that person gets to go back to their boss and say, you know what, I came up with this great solution. Like, I'm Nick. I don't need the ego boost from somebody telling their boss that I came up with this solution. I want to help somebody else be successful. So part of it is that you can help them walk down that path themselves, and so they feel more accomplished for having come up with that. And then the other part is that they do get those points within their organization too, for being a problem solver. So I like both parts of that.
Absolutely. I guess one final thought that you can leave us with when it comes to sales over live chat. Any best practice that you feel is extremely valuable?
Wow, that's a great question. I think the best thing that I could pass along, is to try to always maintain a mindset of understanding. That people are coming to you with this question, and they're just other people that are trying to solve a problem. And so the best thing that you can do is just be another person helping them solve that problem. And a lot of times you can get inside your own head and be trying to come up with a solution that you think is right for them. But I think a lot of times just being a personable person is a pretty solid way to do it.
Very cool. All right. Nick, thanks for your time. If people have more questions, they can reach you at support@olark.com. You're usually on there, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And when can they find you on chat if they have more questions?
I'm around Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday these days in
Cool.
the afternoon EST.
All right. Very good. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. And everybody out there, thanks for listening.
Rock and roll. Take care, everybody.
Later.